Final report on Kiunga plane crash released. Contractor denies responsibility for Sirinumu Road. And UN documentary Driving the Change launched.
This is National EMTV News with Helen Sayer.
Good evening and thank you for joining me for Thursday's news. The final report of the April 2016 plane crash in Kiunga was released today by the PNG Accident Investigation Commission. It was found that a contributing factor which led to the crash was the unequal distribution of weight in the aircraft after it was loaded. The accident claimed the lives of 12 people, 11 passengers from Oksapmin and the pilot, who was Australian.
The accident occurred on Wednesday, the 13th of April last year. The plane crashed on approach to the Kiunga airport runway. After 10 months, the report was released.
On the day of the accident, the pilot decided, after landing in Oksapmin, to go to Oksapmin. He decided that he will go to Tekken first before returning to Kiunga. He departed Oksapmin, landed at Tekken, and 11 passengers were aboarded the aircraft from Tekken with.
According to the report, the major contributing factor to the crash is the weight and balance in the aircraft. The weight distribution was such that there was too much weight loaded to the rear of the aircraft. In technical terms, the weight exceeded the aft limit of the center of gravity. On the final approach to land at Kiunga, when the plane was lowered, it placed the center of gravity way past the half limit, resulting in the nose of the plane pitching up and the pilot losing control of the aircraft. The aircraft then stalled and crashed.
Rules have been amended so that every operator must have a weighing or scale at each location. So before passengers or cargo is loaded onto the aircraft, they are to be weighed, and the weight must be established. And it's got to be within limits. Now, in this instance, we do have an agent at Tekken who had weighed, and he had a manifest calculated. A copy of it is in the report before the passengers and the cargo was loaded onto the aircraft.
The report also found and recommended that PNG Air Services improve its high-frequency radio communication, as it found that in this case, the transmission between the pilot and air services was not clear.
At aircraft, the pilot normally would assess the load and then load the passengers and the cargo.
AIC also recommended that the health department must ensure that the chief pathologist in the country has access to a forensic medicine laboratory.
Radio system is subjected to a lot of interferences.
Sarah Aupong, National EMTV News.
The statutory body tasked to investigate aircraft accidents in Papua New Guinea is underfunded. It is now creating a policy to ensure that it receives funding every year. The policy will be sent to the national government for approval. Accident Investigation Commission Chief Executive Officer David Inau says the organization does not have adequate funding and infrastructure to conduct investigations. Bethany Herman with this report.
Government departments like the AIC have been neglected by successive governments over the years. Its functions are only appreciated when there is an aircraft accident, but its role is vital. The organization is tasked to investigate and find what caused a crash. AIC CEO David Inau says it's an international obligation for the AIC to be well funded.
It is difficult to forecast an accident, but the government, the policy makers, must look at this. It is an international obligation. We are a member of the International Civil Aviation Organization, and we need to have an adequately funded independent accident investigation. That has not happened over the years.
The organization now only receives administration funding. In the past, core aircraft investigation funding was paid. They were between 500,000 to 800,000, but that wasn't enough even then. The organization hasn't received that funding for the last 3 years.
The legislation that we're working on is to try and legislate, and the government must give that support to the legislation so that we have readily available funding. When an accident happens, we can have access to and go and conduct our investigations as quickly as we can, establish the causes, make safety recommendations for the enhancement of aviation safety.
Without a well-funded independent investigation commission, Papua New Guinea is in danger of breaching international civil aviation organization standards, stopping PNG airlines from entering international airports and overseas flights from entering Papua New Guinea. This will have dire repercussions on the Papua New Guinean tourism industry. Bethany Harriman, National EMTV News.
A documentary film produced in the country by Media New Guinea Limited's MTech Multimedia and funded by the United Nations Development Programme premieres tomorrow night. The film, Driving the Change, is an inspiring story of how a remote village in Juaka Province is doing all it can towards achieving some of the world's sustainable development goals.
Media personnel and United Nations Development Programme officials were invited this morning for the world premiere of the Papua New Guinea documentary Driving the Change. It was narrated by filmmaker Marco Venditti and produced by Media New Guinea Limited subsidiary MTech Multimedia.
A lot more interest in Domil, even within the region and the neighboring villages, because they've seen that something is happening in Domil. And you were saying it's difficult in Papua New Guinea sometimes, putting the community together, but that's difficult just about anywhere around the world. It's not only in PNG. But the fact that there is an example somewhere that is actually they're trying to do something out of the box is creating a lot of synergies as well, because some of the other villages in the neighboring areas, they're sort of becoming interdependent now with Domil.
The film tells the story of how the people of Domil village in the Juaka province are sustainably improving their lives in the community to achieve sustainable development goals. It also provides an example for communities throughout Papua New Guinea and around the world about how the SDGs can be achieved.
They, as Bernard says very clearly in the film, they've been doing things themselves for 25 plus years. And even before, I can tell you, Bernard's grandparents, their grandparents, they were doing things. And the film in half an hour tries to capture some of that. And that's why you see that, Marco, he has shot this beautifully, the team have shot this beautifully, but it's not all about the UN system, and here's the UN system. This is a plea to all development partners, to government, to provincial government, to local leaders, everybody.
It was a pilot initiative developed by the European Union in 2012 and implemented by UNDP. This doco features Bennett Gunn, the director of NGO Integral Community Health and Development, who is from Domil village, where the documentary was shot.
That's based on real need, but there should be a way out. We have to find a model, and I think we have found the answer, and we are willing to share, and we want the rest of communities in PNG to be able to learn from that, and together we can bring PNG up and be part of the global community.
This 30-minute documentary was filmed over 5 days and highlights successes achieved under the Community Development Goals Acceleration Project. The documentary will be aired on MTV at 7 p.m. on the 17th and 18th and 8 p.m. on the 19th of this month. Eric Arupma, National MTV News.
Among stories after the break, new Japanese ambassador presents his credentials. Stay with us. Welcome back. President of the autonomous Bougainville government, Chief John Momis, has returned to the island after undergoing medical treatment overseas since last year. Chief Momis was welcomed home at Buka Airport this afternoon by officials from the autonomous Bougainville government, the Bougainville administration and also the public, who expressed their joy for his return. The Bougainville president is expected to resume normal duties. The new resident ambassador of Japan to Papua New Guinea is Ambassador Satosha Nakajima. Ambassador Nakajima presented his credentials to Acting Governor General and Speaker of Parliament Theodore Sirinumu at the Government House today in Port Moresby. Before presenting his credentials, Ambassador Satoshi Nakajima inspected a guard of honor at the Government House. He was then received by Acting Governor General Theodore Sirinumu. Ambassador Nakajima said it was gratifying that the PNG-Japan relationship has expanded and developed in the areas of economic cooperation, politics and cultural affairs. He said he was particularly delighted to be appointed as ambassador to PNG when the country has made great strides towards further development and stability. In his reply, Mr. Sirinumu said since PNG and Japan established formal relations on September 16, 1975, relations have been further strengthened in recent years with the increased exchange of visits between the leaders of both countries. He assured the new ambassador that the PNG government stands ready to render its support and assistance where it may be required. Deli Waigeno, National EMTV News. A total of 69.8 million kina has been paid to the beneficiaries of the Lihir mine. Newcrest Mining Limited Lihir yesterday released a quarterly report of the royalty payments from January to December of year 2016. The total amount of royalty payouts made since the beginning of the mine in 1997 now amounts to more than 500 million kina.
In the report released by Newcrest Limited yesterday indicated the payout of 69.8 million kina as royalty payments to the Lihir people for the use of their land and resources. The New Island provincial government got the biggest share. A big portion of that amount will go towards the administering of the province and infrastructures. The Mamar local level government got the second biggest share. A big portion of that money will go to community development projects on the island. Land-owning clans got the third biggest share. Much of it will go towards their financial savings and own spending. This has brought the total amount of royalties paid to the mining stakeholders to about 590 million kina since the mine began operations in 1997. Lihir has been a hive of activities instigated by landowners who want the mining company and the government to listen to them. And on numerous occasions, landowners use the traditional instrument, the gorgor, as a sign of dispute and a call-out for negotiations to sort out their issues. Most of them were cases involving benefits from the mine and the marginalization of landowners on their own land.
Mipla or beneficiaries, in occasion benefit, Lord Disallowal money.
On the other hand, the land-owning clans have outstanding differences with the local level government that they too need to resolve it. In March last year, the two parties came together to reconcile and put an end to the ongoing conflict over mining benefits that have dragged on for more than 6 years. Many Lihir people have been arguing that the internal dispute has held back a lot of developments that should have already happened.
That's why I'm cry. Not supposed to stop us.
While the royalty payouts indicates a positive move to at least put up with the mining agreement between the government, the mining company and the landowners, many land-owning clans on the island still remain skeptical about the advantages and the disadvantages and call for equal distribution and participation from benefits derived from the mine. Edwin Fidelis, National EMTV News, Kokopo.
Mount Hagen City Manager Pius Pim told EMTV News that the City Authority Act is creating confusion in their municipal functions. Pim said the City Authority is going beyond its boundaries in terms of municipal duties, which have caused problems with the City Council. He made this remark after the CEO of the Mount Hagen City Authority blamed Pim for the city's untidiness and increase of petty crimes.
PM said Hagen rural areas should be kept segregated from urban areas. He explained to city residents and business houses that there shouldn't be a court order in the first instance if the city authority had worked within its boundaries and alongside the city council. PM said the city authority is also infringing on the boundaries of the local level government, which has caused confusion and anger.
The city authority came in it had its own plans. And the first thing they did was they froze our operating account. That's the Mount Hagen Urban Local Level Government account and the Rural Local Level Government, Mount Hagen Rural Local Level Government account. And they wanted to amalgamate into one account.
The Mount Hagen City Authority Act of 2015 states clearly that the authority is primarily responsible for providing municipal services in Mount Hagen area. Such include collection of rubbish, managing of municipal dump, cleaning and lightings of roads, streets and pathways, maintenance of public parks and recreation areas, and controlling of domestic animals in urban areas. They can also determine and control the budget allocation priorities for Hagen LLG. CEO of Mount Hagen City Authority, Leon Noki, claimed that the authority was unable to function because of a court order in place.
Mr. Pim has it all, the trucks, the equipment, the funds, all the workers, all the service providers. So what is he waiting for? The courts have given the orders. He wanted the courts to give everything to him. He's got it all, and he's simply mismanaging.
Meanwhile, Pim said the City Authority Act should be returned to Parliament for debate. Pim said he has been working for over 10 years with the provincial government and he has never come across such situation until the act was introduced. He said this has crippled him from doing his job. Vasinata Yama, National EMTV News, Mount Hagen.
Residents of Works compound in Lae near the market have called on Lae City Council management to get rid of the pile of rubbish accumulating in the market near their homes. As the mounds got higher, the smell of rotting garbage became intense and is easily flooded over to the residential area once it rains. EMTV in Lae made attempts to get a response from Lae City Council on why they didn't collect it, but was unsuccessful to the time of this broadcast.
This is the pile of rubbish that has not been removed for more than a month. The wife of an employee of the Department of Works who resides at the Works compound located at the back of Lae Market said the environment is not safe anymore for her family, especially her grandchildren.
Also na time rain wara ikarim na calm down. Sa place blow me place awe flood because me plus tap place it down lik. Na this floor magats ya you by lookim samplay live. Na you can look only wiggle wara na time tight wara kamem sa golo na matu lada blow house blow me pla.
The rubbish was recently moved closer to the compound. It contains waste from food produce and other debris by the sellers and buyers in the market. The residents have complained that the mounds of rubbish are also responsible for the smell, which has caused health problems and forced some family members out of their homes.
Suppose enough me pla like only can move in people happy go long way residential area. I'm also me pla like him. But before that market is stop now, so me plus stop. Maski only put him lo narapla end blow market. Still smell. Is a bagarabi me plus teret.
An employee of Works in Lae who also resides at the compound said she feels unsafe and worried when going home after work.
More than 10 years lived here and with the rubbish out there. It's a concern, it's a great concern.
The residents called on the City Council management to sort out the issue and remove the rubbish responsible for the smell that is disturbing to the homes. Julie Badui Owa, National EMTV News, Lae.
Following statements made by Koyari landowners regarding the state of the border Sirinumu Road construction, NC Civil Works have denied responsibility. Spokesperson Beatrice Gaeta said the construction company's scope of work as per the contract it was awarded in 2014 only covered between Yarawari and Border Village.
NCCW says in releasing this statement, its intention is purely to set any misunderstanding or misconception perpetrated by any ill-informed party straight.
RT-14DF. which in a sense stipulates for the road upgrade and sealing from the turnoff at the Yorori High School and for 5 kilometers inland to Border Village. The specifications and project boundaries scoped and outlined in the contract are very clear. That is for anti-civil works to carry out the upgrade and sealing from Yorori High School to Border Village.
Citing demands allegedly made by the landowner group company for a foreign contractor, Gaeta of Koitabuan origin herself says a local contractor like NC Civil Works was favorable to locals.
The only local company in the area that have employed hundreds of locals. We should be encouraging local businesses in this country and see this as the way forward.
NCCW also prides itself in promoting women empowerment in PNG. Deborah Paulus, one of the female engineers on site, gave MTV a brief overview of the company's progress.
We have started sealing, resealing Sugeri with the first coat, which is the 19 mil from 5 kilometers to 3.2 kilometers, and that's 1.8 kilometers covered already for the first coat. Now we have yet to complete the road base, which is the 2.5 kilometers from Beradabu village all the way back to Yarawari.
Realistically, the 5-kilometer stretch of road from Border to Yarawari, she said, should have been completed in only 6 months. However, inconsistent funding from the government has prolonged its completion. According to Paulus, they have only been funded to lay the first of 4 layers of the road, technically known as the sub-base, along the entire 5 kilometers. The company has had to fork out money from its accounts to maintain a progressive construction.
One can relate to the road conditions before the upgrade and sealing. No cars could drive up this way. Now with the roads being upgraded, small vehicles have easy access all the way to the Crystal Rapids and to the Border Village.
NCCW says, however, without regular funding, the road cannot meet demands for faster construction. Melissa Gaviro, National MTV News.
Edaranu today received a cheque payment of 500,000 kina from the member for Mosby Northwest, Michael Malabag. Edaranu's Chief Operating Officer, Dr. Fifaya Matainaho, received the partial payment, which will enable them to commence work on the proposed water projects in the Northwest Electorate.
The water project will cover 6 areas in Mosby Northwest Electorate. Urgent work will commence on 3 main areas of concern, which are the Garden Hills Settlement, Mosquito Street in Morata 4, and Gerahu Stage 7.
The whole cost initially was about 1.9 million. I'm going to give you an initial partial payment of 500,000 kina. And within 2 weeks, I should be able to come with the rest of the balance.
Upon receiving the payment, Dr. Fifaya Matainaho stressed the importance of community cooperation with regards to bill payments.
But we also appeal to the communities also at the same time that when it comes to them to pay the water, they need to also be responsible to pay.
Edaranu officials declined to comment on the current Sirinumu Dam landowner issue, saying only that the root cause of the issue is poor road conditions, which involves other parties. Offering some reassurance for Port Moresby City residents, Edaranu said they have emergency backup sources for water if the issue worsens. Geraldine Calabai, National MTV News.
A sales consultant in Kimbe has described his arrest by a senior police officer as extremely irrelevant. Henry Goria, a sales consultant from West New Britain, says he was deprived of his right to seek justice from the courts and maliciously prosecuted yesterday. Mr. Goria was arrested by Assistant Police Commissioner Victor Isove, the Director for Crimes, and his son Alex Isove on Tuesday. He was charged with 28 counts of deprivation of personal liberty and bribery. However, the Kimbe District Court struck out 26 of the 28 counts and adjourned Goria's case for mention on 1st of March. These allegations date back to 2015.
For the bribery one, they charged me 17 times. And for the deprivation of liberty, they charged me 9 times. So altogether, there's 28 charges. Anyway, I accepted that one, and then I asked them that if I could grant me police bail. They refused police bail. And they said, no, we can't. We'll have to go to court. Okay, fair enough. I called my lawyer. Let's go to court because there's enough time. It's not 4 o'clock yet. The magistrate was available. My lawyer was available, except the prosecutor was not there. The prosecutor was stopped from going and attending the court case. So what do? Nothing. So I have no choice. They have to detain me overnight. And this is unlawful detention, number one, and deprivation of my liberty as a citizen of this country. You know, I went before the court. Senior magistrate Tevasi had my case. He threw out 26 of those 28 charges against me for being incompetent.
And now looking at our finance news, the kina closed unchanged at $0.3150 in the interbank markets. At Bank South Pacific, your kina was buying $0.3075, $0.3962 Australian dollars, $0.2881 euro, and 34.85 Japanese yen. Looking at commodity prices at New York close, gold, coffee, cocoa, and copra closed the day higher. Palm oil closed unchanged, crude oil closed lower, and copper closed the day higher. And on the stock market, the Dow Jones closed at 110.13 points higher. The ASX is trading at 7.24 points higher, and the All Ordinaries closed at 3.89 points higher. Stories making headlines overseas when we return, including a major bushfire in New Zealand and the suspected murder of the half-brother of North Korea's leader Kim Jong-un. Stay with us. Welcome back to the news. An alleged car thief has faced court after witnesses helped to end a dangerous police chase through the streets of Brisbane. The 21-year-old is accused of crashing into several cars before trying to run away.
The man allegedly behind the wheel on the wild chase from Wynnum to Woolloongabba is now behind bars. The dramatic chase ended on a construction site. 2 tradies downed tools to hold him down. Police scrambled in.
Everyone sort of chipped in and had a crack and ended up getting the guy, and I'm just thankful that no one else was hurt in the whole process. Very lucky.
The drama started to unfold at 9:30 yesterday morning when 21-year-old Robert Hopkins allegedly stole a vehicle from a home in New Farm. An iPad in the car helped Polair track him. The car narrowly missed semi-trailers, clocked speeds of more than 100 kilometres an hour and sped through red lights and on the wrong side of the road. The driver crashed into 3 cars, trapping a woman in one of the vehicles. Hopkins has been charged with a string of offences, including unlawful use of a motor vehicle and burglary. He made a brief appearance in court. He did not apply for bail and has been remanded in custody until the case returns to court next month.
More than 1,000 people have had to flee their homes as 2 big bushfires merged into a huge fire front near Christchurch in New Zealand. A state of emergency was declared as the blaze edged towards the city's outskirts. At least 11 houses have been destroyed.
A hellish scene on Christchurch's Port Hills. The smouldering hillside glowed red through the night as flames tore through everything in their path.
Pretty good view up there.
Yeah, it's definitely taken over all of the hills, eh?
As pine trees turned to ash, more than 400 homes were evacuated.
You have to be worried, you're not quite sure what you're going to come back to, but we got all the precious things out, which are the people.
Grabbing their valuables and whatever else they could.
For the cat and the classic car.
Some still in disbelief at the sheer scale of the fire burning so close to their city homes.
In this day and age, I can't believe that it's let to go that far. Yeah. You know, it's so close to a central city like this. Yeah. It's just unbelievable.
As daylight broke, the extent of the damage became clear. The fire has consumed more than 1,800 hectares so far, 11 homes and 2 sheds with it.
It was just amazing seeing just the flames and out of control. It was just scary, extremely scary.
14 helicopters and 3 planes are attacking the fires from the air. On the ground, more than 130 firefighters are battling the blazes. But even their hoses appeared to have little impact on this patch of flames as it crept through the scrub, threatening a house just metres away. Firefighters hope a wind change tomorrow will lower temperatures and slow the fire's progress. This huge plume of smoke's a threatening backdrop to a city that's already been through so much. For now, its residents wait patiently, hoping relief will come soon.
A second woman has been arrested in Malaysia over the mysterious death of the half-brother of North Korea's leader Kim Jong-un. The first suspect was detained at Kuala Lumpur airport a day after Kim Jong-nam was attacked and killed in a suspected poisoning.
Did this woman assassinate the half-brother of North Korea's leader? These CCTV images showing her waiting outside Kuala Lumpur airport emerged as Malaysian police said they'd arrested a 28-year-old woman carrying a Vietnamese travel document. She was detained following the death yesterday of a North Korean thought to be Kim Jong-nam, the exiled half-brother of Kim Jong-un. He'd been about to board a flight home to Macau when he was attacked with a chemical spray and died on the way to hospital. The North Korean ambassador spent 8 hours at the hospital mortuary, his requests for the body to be released immediately without a post-mortem examination rejected by Malaysia. There's been no official comment from North Korea. Today, Kim Jong-un was at a mass rally to honour the late father they shared. The father seen sitting next to his young son Kim Jong-nam in this rare family portrait, taken before Kim Jong-il became leader of North Korea. The South Korean spy service claims yesterday's assassination, carried out by 2 female North Korean agents, had been ordered some time ago.
We consider that Kim Jong-un's paranoid character was reflected rather than a calculated act of removing Kim Jong-nam, who could be an obstacle to his rule.
The search continues for other suspects. Post-mortem results may reveal if, but not why, Kim Jong-nam was poisoned and the victim of an audacious assassination.
You're with National EMTV News. Chukai Sports is next. Stay with us.
Chukai Sports.
Welcome to Chukai Sports. 2016 Digital Cup champions Lace Next Tigers played a friendly match with the SB Hunters at the National Football Stadium to test their fitness levels in preparation for the Melanesian Cup match in Fiji. A 17-man squad, accompanied by coach Stanley Tepend, left the country today, taking with them the Melanesian Cup trophy that the Agmak Gurias won last year.
In a friendly test match yesterday to check their fitness levels, the Lace Next Tigers left the country bound for Fiji to play for the Melanesian Cup trophy that was won by the Agmak Gurias last year. Training and playing in the 17-man squad against the SB Hunters were experienced big guns Tomotilo Moy, David Loko, Warren Glare and Noel Joel, who will take the rest of their teammates under their wing in Fiji. PNG RFL CEO Reatau Rao encouraged the Tigers to not only play the game but to embrace the Melanesian culture and tradition as well.
I hope that as both teams assemble in Fiji for the football match, we also take some time to appreciate each other's stories, customs and ways and embrace our common heritage, learn from each other and hopefully form friendships that go beyond football field and the weekend.
Coach Stanley Tepend said the players have trained hard for this match, and with experienced players on board, there is a possibility the cup will be brought back to PNG.
Working on some little areas where we learned before we block all of Fiji. Korea's won it the first year, and we look forward to representing not only the Tigers and the players and their families, but everybody in PNG as a whole.
Sponsor of Lace Next Tigers, Ian Cho, wished the Lace Next Tigers good luck and hopes they bring the trophy back home.
I hope the Tigers players will bring it back to Papua New Guinea again. We beat Agmak Gurias last year. They were the champions and we've trained hard, and I think we should be able to bring it back and make Papua New Guinea proud.
Lace Next Tigers will play against the Fiji Aviators this Saturday at Iloanga Park in Sigatoka. Godwin Eki, National EMTV Sports.
Pacific Sprint Queen Toya Whistle started her 2017 season in record-breaking form by running the same kind of times which saw her qualify for the Rio Olympics. Competing at a local club meet in Brisbane, Toya recorded comparable times she did for the Olympics qualifiers in both the 100 and 200-meter sprints.
Breaking records just in a local meet in Brisbane on Saturday to start her 2017 season, Toya managed to kill two birds with one stone, running 11.26 seconds in the 100-meter sprint with a wind reading of plus 2.6 meters per second, just over the maximum 2.0 allowed for the record purposes. The PNG record holder also maintained her performance in her second race, making a sensational 23.11 seconds in the 200-meter race, leaving the other athletes trailing behind her with a wind speed of plus 3.4 seconds. Toya is hoping to maintain her strength and agility and hopes to train hard for more local and international tournaments to maintain her current times. While Toya prepares for her international meets, she is looking to train hard for the 2018 Commonwealth Games, the 2019 Pacific Games and the 2020 Olympic Games, which may be her last meet before she retires. Godwin Eki, National EMTV Sports.
The Team Western Highlands Taekwondo squad has been given a boost to its training in preparation for the 2017 PNG Games in Kimbe. An owner of a retail shop in Mount Hagen, James Im, donated Valentine's gifts of V-shaped uniforms and belts, including sandbag, to the squad. President of the Taekwondo squad, Simon Kama, praised him for his support towards the team, which came on time for the PNG Games.
The Taekwondo squad in Western Highlands province can now see their reflections through mirror and do their techniques. Their training will also be colorful, unlike in the past where some fighters train without a uniform and a Taekwondo belt. The squad's training hall is now of high standard with the donation of a sandbag by the owner of OSK retail shop in Mount Hagen.
25 and then sandbag. And then mirror 10, and then this need to be money, and this need to be money, and then this ring could do everything. After this already this support this donation, this my team.
President of the Taekwondo squad, Simon Kama, was overwhelmed as this was the first time for the academy to receive such donation. The donation came with a 1,000 kina cash to go towards the squad's preparation for the PNG Games. Kama promised to bring the squad to compete in the PNG Games and make use of their talent.
And we really appreciate your sponsor, and we will make use of your uniforms in the PNG Games and the support you are giving us, and we have a long way to go, and we are partners in Taekwondo.
This is just the beginning of donations that will come later. James Im, who is also a black belt from South Korea, promised the academy to donate such gifts every month. Basinata Yama, National EMTV Sports, Mount Hagen.
Chukai Sports continues after the break. Don't go away.
Chukai Sports.
Welcome back to Chukai Sports. Papua New Guinea drew their second match against Vanuatu in the Under-17 OFC Championship World Cup qualifiers in Tahiti. The two Melanesian sides lost their opening encounters with host Tahiti and New Caledonia respectively and were eager to bag their first win, but instead settled for a 3-3 draw.
The early pressure came predominantly from Papua New Guinea's end as they got their Group A match against Vanuatu. PNG got the lead through Aben Pokue in the 16th minute that had keeper Joshua Willie beaten. New Caledonia responded with numerous shots on goal. They were rewarded for the hustle in the 25th minute when some miscommunication in the goal mouth led to a goal. With just a few seconds of additional time remaining before half-time, Papua New Guinea was presented with a penalty inside the box in which Bati Caribbean converted.
Second goal for Papua New Guinea.
However, their lead was short-lived as Albert Vanna took advantage from a fumble from the keeper to put Vanuatu back in contention. PNG would soon slip ahead in the 81st minute thanks to Bati Caribbean, who grabbed his second. Celebrations were short-lived, however, as Vanuatu drew level off a free kick. Sharing the points after having had the lead 3 times during the game was a rather hugely disappointing finish to the afternoon for PNG coach Harrison Kamake.
In the end, I was disappointed by just an individual sort of decision that did us not a good result.
Shane Saroya, National EMTV Sports.
Australian long-distance swimming great Grant Hackett was arrested and detained by police in the Gold Coast on Wednesday after a breakdown at his parents' home. The troubled triple Olympic champion's father, Neville Hackett, told local newspaper The Gold Coast Bulletin that he had called the police so his 36-year-old son could be given help.
He just became abusive and aggressive, when I say aggressive, verbally, and didn't make any sense, and it was obvious that something was wrong. It is alcohol, and I suspect perhaps from time to time there could be prescription drugs.
He's dangerous. At times he is dangerous. He's a danger to himself, he's a danger to the community, and his poor mum and dad have tried to look after him so much.
Local broadcaster Channel 7 posted video footage of Hackett being driven to a local police station in handcuffs. A Queensland police spokesman said a man had been arrested following a disturbance around midday. Hackett won 1500 meters gold at the 2000 Sydney Olympics and at Athens in 2004 before retiring after the 2008 Games in Beijing, where he won silver in the event. The 10-time world champion returned to the pool last year to make an unsuccessful bid to qualify for the Rio Olympics. He was questioned by airport police in Melbourne last April after an altercation with a passenger on a flight. He said he had been binge drinking in the wake of his Olympic disappointment and publicly apologized. Hackett has previously struggled with prescription drug problems and admitted he became dependent on a sleep medication. The swimmer flew to the United States in 2014 to spend time in a rehab center after he was spotted topless and disoriented in the lobby of a Melbourne casino. Jeremy Moggy, National EMTV Sports.
And that ends Chukai Sports. The weather details when we come back.
Chukai Sports. Chukai Sports.
The weather details are proudly brought to you by Dulux Weather Shield. Worth doing with Dulux.
Your weather forecast for the next 24 hours in the southern region: fine although cloudy at times in Port Moresby, mostly fine in Daru, Kerema, Alutau and Popondetta. In the Mamasa region, few showers in Lae and Medang, mostly fine in Wewak and Vanimo. In the New Guinea Islands region, mostly fine in Lorengau, Kavieng, Kokopo, Rabaul and Buka, and few showers in Kimbe. And in the Highlands region, brief showers then morning fog in all centres. Forecast for small ships for the next 24 hours, all coastal waters of Papua New Guinea, seas of 0.5 to 1.3 meters. Ocean forecast for PNG areas: in the Coral Sea, seas slight wind northwest to southwest winds at 10 to 15 knots. In the Solomon Sea, seas slight wind northwest to southwest winds at 10 to 15 knots. In the Bismarck Sea, seas slight wind northeast to northwest winds at 10 to 15 knots. And in the Pacific Ocean, seas slide with northeast to northwest winds at 10 to 15 knots.
The weather details are proudly brought to you by Dulux Weather Shield, with doing with Dulux.
A quick recap on our main stories for tonight. Final report on Kiunga plane crash released. Contractor denies responsibility for Sirinumu Road, and UN documentary Driving the Change launched. And that's been the news, sports and weather for tonight. On behalf of the entire EMTV News team, I'm Helen Sear. Pleasant viewing. Good night.